Welcome back here at Cardines Field as our pregame show continues prior to Game 1 for the 2013 NECBL Eastern Division semifinals. Gulls and the Mainers here tonight. Right now, it's time for the front office report, joined as we will be at the start of every playoff series by Newport Gulls General Manager Chuck Beva. Chuck, how are you today?
Good, Nick. Great to be here. What a gorgeous day here in Newport, Rhode Island, Nick.
Chuck, could be dodging a little quick rain shower later on here tonight. Don't think it'll be a dampener on our parade, though.
Nick, there's no rain.
I see blue skies.
Yeah, it's blue to me. It's not raining, Nick.
Newport Gulls ended the regular season, Chuck, a 7-game win streak, and can you believe they won all 6 games in that 3-day set at home?
You know, unbelievable. That it was a tough week, but they grind through that week. Game one game at a time, and they just played good baseball. You could particularly see right at the end of that last home game here I think it was against Sanford here, or it was against New Bedford, and you could see him dragging a little bit, running on and off the field. Just a little bit less hop in their step, so to speak. But they grown through it, they grind through it, and they did an outstanding job.
How important was that off day yesterday ahead of the playoffs here for Newport? Of course, Sanford had to play yesterday.
I'm sure it was extremely important. The fact that these guys were able to play just one game Thursday night, come home and rest it yesterday was important for these kids. They really needed it. So now they can refocus and focus on what's at hand now, the championship and the playoffs.
The good news for the Gulls last week, not only did they hit throughout that 6-game stretch 52 runs in 50 innings, they outscored their opponents 52-14. The pitching was always phenomenal this season, but the defense really settled down, just an error or two throughout that entire stretch, and the Gulls, who at one point in this season were dead last in fielding percentage, finished the season with the second most double plays turned in the league and the 4th best fielding percentage in the NECBL.
Well, we saw it early the first 3 weeks of June. We were not very consistent defensively. I think that's cost us a few games early on, if you remember correctly. But it seems as though somewhere around the second week of June, third week forward, they just became pretty consistent defensively. Since we played pretty good defense, I think, down the stretch run, which is most important. If you look at the numbers this year, Nick, the ERA is down, as a team, 2.18, 2.12, or whatever that is. And last year, the team we had who finished number 1 in the country was 3.98. So although the averages are all much lower this year because of the dead ball that we're using, the pitching is really strong. So I think it makes a big difference.
Newport Gulls come into this series here tonight with a couple of those strong right-handers leading the rotation. Brett Graves will have the start tonight. Of course, this is his second season now with Newport. Sean Hartnett will have the start in Game 2. Both are outstanding, striking out plenty of batters this season. Well,
Graves is our return guy. He's our leader. When I look at this team this particular year, I always look to see who is going to step up in any given year and who's going to take the lead. Usually the senior guys or the older guys that return. To me, Brett Graves represents that one guy. There's some other guys have stepped up. Steve Anderson, Brett's starting to play a little bit here, but Graves is the guy who just came back and took that role as returning senior guy, and he's put us on his back.
Offensively, as this team really heated up in the final week of the regular season, Chuck, we saw some great numbers from several players. Trace Tampsing started every game this summer. He batted close to .450 in the final 2 weeks of the season. He chased Ben Roberts for the NECBL record in doubles, which Roberts ended up setting, by the way, with 18 on the season. Meanwhile, Steve Anderson set a new Gulls team record in runs batted with 42.
Yeah, again, it's a miraculously, with the dead ball that we have, that they're generating so many RBIs and stuff, but it's just a testament to their commitment to hitting and working hard. I know those guys get in here every single day for early hitting with Coach Leva. We were supposed to report at 3:30, but the guys show up at 1:30, 2 o'clock, get the extra hitting in. So that's what it takes. They grind through it, they get better, and they develop. Trace has just really learned how to swing with that wood bat, and he's gotten more confident, and Benny has been pretty consistent all summer long, and Steve has as well. So, no, I think as a whole, we have good professional hitters.
Meanwhile, check the Sanford Mainers in here now, and it wouldn't be August if the Gulls weren't playing the Mainers. There's a lot of history between these two teams in the postseason. The Gulls, of course, fell to the Mainers twice in the NECBL Championship Series back in, I guess what you can now call it, back in the old days. But last year, Newport and Sanford, the Mainers give the Gulls a fight, took them to 3 games.
Sanford, the Mainers, listen, they're a proud organization. They're a good team. They're well coached. They're disciplined kids. So, just like I talked to Coach Klum just a little while ago, this is now baseball. Anything can happen. We just got to go out and deliver and do what we're capable of doing, do our thing, and not worry so much about who we're playing, but just get it done. Because everybody we're going to play is going to be good, particularly in the playoffs. But hey, Sanford is a great club, and we're excited to have that, continue that tradition with them. We've had a lot of back and forth wars, Nick, with those guys, and I think you remember most of them.
Of course, the Newport Gulls have always had that benchmark of 25 wins in the season. They've reached it every year in franchise history 13 times in a row now. But the Gulls, for the second year in a row now, have eclipsed the 30-win mark. Is that the new benchmark?
Not necessarily. 25 is a reasonable number. The team that gets to 30 becomes pretty special. The way these guys finished up with 7 in a row, Nick, it starts to make them special. And they are starting to believe how good they are, and that's what it takes. That's what the great Gulls teams over the years, all of them are, by the way. I really mean that. When I think back about the team in 2008 that lost to Sanford, that team was pretty talented. We were very good offensively, and I don't know if you remember up there, we were up, I think, 5-2. Maybe Chase Reed was pitching a great game. They had the bases loaded, and we had a ball go through our first baseman's legs for 3 runs, and that killed us. Turned the game around, we lost. They came down here and beat us the next day. So, you just never know from year to year. But this team is poised and ready to go, Nick.
Finally, Chuck, to the injury report. Right now we're just aware of one player whose status is questionable. That's Ty Moore. He was on crutches the last couple of days of the regular season, but we did notice he is dressed here today.
Hey, he's here to play. Maybe he can't play yet, but I'll tell you what, Nick, what that kid shows me, I respect him so much by the fact that he's hung through his injury to find out what was wrong with him. He found out that he's going to be fine, and he rehabbed through it just to get back on the field again with these guys. Here's a kid who just won a national championship at UCLA. He comes here and he's grinding through this summer. It's easy for him to go home right now, pack it up and go back to California, but he's not. To me, that's character, and it's the character of this team. That's what I want to see. I'm really proud of that kid, and he's a good kid. I'm psyched for him.
Of course, his dad, Roger Moore, is probably our biggest fan on Twitter.
Oh, he is. Well, that's great. He's also a big fan here. He was here. He just flew out of here the other night, and he said he's probably going to be coming back. But listen, I'm proud of that young man. He represents what grit is all about.
Newport Gulls General Manager Chuck Paver, thanks for joining us here in the pregame show for the Front Office Report. Good luck in the series against the Mainers. Hopefully we'll see you again on Wednesday.
That sounds great. Hopefully it's Wednesday, and we can move on, Nick.
Thanks, Chuck. The pregame show continues. We'll have the Manager Show next on the NECBL Broadcast Network.